What's up, guys? It's Rich, back with another video for you guys today. Today we're going to be talking about some important topics, what I think needs to be addressed before the patch in December, or the wipe in December, I'm sorry. These are some really important things that I think are affecting the game right now. I know this has been hashed over thousands and thousands of times from a lot of Escape from Tarkov streamers and content creators and players alike, but I just wanted to make another video on this, talk about it, give my opinions on it. I want to see what people think about it down below in the comments, so let me know what you guys think. Let's just get into it. Let's talk about some of these things. Alright guys, here's some of the topics I want to go over. We're going to be talking about cheaters, we're going to be talking about performance, we're going to be talking about found in raid mechanics, nerfing mechanics because of the 1%, community interaction, and recoil. There's going to be timestamps down below if you can't finish the whole video in one going, but I want to go over some of these things, and then hopefully we can address some of them down below in the comments. But these are the things that I found to be the most preceding and the most important to talk about. Alright, and before we get into the video, I just want to say thank you guys again for supporting me in all of my videos. And showing love over the last few videos. I love to see any growth on the channel is just amazing. It's been amazing to see the views being higher than normal and things like that, but I want to keep pushing and grinding towards more and more content. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure you drop a like, and if you want to see some future Escape from Tarkov or other gaming videos, make sure you drop a sub down below. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Let's get right into it. Number one, most important thing I want to talk about is going to be cheaters. I know cheaters have been a very big ordeal in Escape from Tarkov. And I know over the last few weeks, they've been putting out posts about how they have waived a bunch of cheaters. But I want to address it because I know a lot of people do experience cheaters in the game, especially just getting head eyes immediately. But the biggest thing about cheaters is it's hard to detect them in Tarkov unless they're really blatant about it. So the thing about Escape from Tarkov is it's a very hardcore game. There is no kill cam. There's nothing like that you can tell how you were killed or where you were killed from unless it was very obvious. Cheaters take that into their advantage, and then they can act and perform a lot more inconspicuously. But what that does is it just adds overall a much more, it can sense like it's a much more cheater infected game than it really is. I'm not saying that there aren't cheaters in the game. I'm saying there are a lot of cheaters in the game, especially a lot of cheaters that take advantage of RMT, which is real money trading, which use cheating to make a real world living. Listen, I'm for anybody getting their bag however they want, but if they're getting their bag affecting other people in a very negative way, which cheaters do, I don't think it should be supported or, condoned in any way, shape, or form. I think it needs to be addressed. I think Battlestate games, in my opinion, need to partner up with a real anti-cheat developer or something, because there is I think they use BattleEye right now, if I'm not mistaken, and I think there's just a really big exploit going on with BattleEye or whatnot, or if they're using a really outdated version. But they need to partner up and address this firsthand, because this is affecting the gameplay of a lot of. So the biggest thing is, even if you may not see cheaters a lot in your personal gameplay, which, for example, some nights I go out nights without seeing a single cheater, or some days I go out and see 3 or 4 in one day. It just happens to be, the way it rolls. But the biggest thing is a lot of these cheaters end up targeting a lot of these bigger streamers, so it seems like there's a lot of cheaters in the game. And this needs to be addressed because this overall, the viewership, a lot of people know viewership affects the performance of a game and the health of a game and the player base of a game. So if you're seeing a lot of cheaters kill your favorite streamers, you're not going to want to play the game because you think it's going to happen to you. So I think Battlestate games need to get ahead of this. They need to partner up with the anti-cheat something. Maybe it's partner up with BattleEye, do something about it, and take a tackle on cheaters. I know they've been doing good on doing ban waves, but it just seems like each ban wave, they just come back stronger. And or they just come back the same. So it's just, they need to address it. They need to take it, take into action. In your end, what you can keep doing is you can keep reporting any players you see. There is now a message you receive in game that tells you, hey, this report was banned from so and so from 89 reports. But once again, I still don't think this is enough. They've been doing better, but there is still a lot of steps that need to be taken. So hopefully cheaters gets addressed a lot over these next few months, going into December wipe. That's my fingers crossed. That's my optimistic, outlook on it. I'll be honest with you. If I'm being dead honest with you, I think Battlestate Games isn't going to really address the cheaters all that much as I want them to, as much as the community wants them to. I think that they're just kind of a thing right now, and we kind of got to deal with them, unfortunately. But for a lot of people, they may not even be seeing that many, so it can be isolated to each person. What do you guys think about that? I'm curious, do people run into cheaters a lot on their gameplay down below? Let me know down below. If you're not a content creator, if you just play Escape from Tarkov just for yourself, to enjoy it, then let me know. Do you run into cheaters down below, and how many do you run into, you think? every night or every week or whatnot? Just give me an average down there. I'm curious. Number 2 on my list, I want to talk about performance. Number 1 thing I want to talk about is the Streets of Tarkov expansion. Streets of Tarkov used to be really solid. I was not gonna say good, but really solid, able to perform such a big map and handle such a a wide area you can explore, and so much loot and so many different players and scavs spawning in. But with this latest expansion they introduced in this patch, performance has just been in the toilet. Now, I don't have a super good PC. I do want to get a better one as we move towards more content creation and stuff like that. But I have a pretty decent one. Like, I definitely think it can run pretty good. I play in 1440p and I stream all on the same PC. It can do it pretty good. And I've never had any issues in the past. And last patch, Streets ran pretty good with me. But this wipe, my goodness, it doesn't really matter what I change in my settings. As you guys know, I put out a settings video down below, and check that out if you need some performance boost. But it doesn't really matter what I change for Streets. It's just being absolutely nuked in frames and performance. And I think what needs to be addressed is performance before features. What I mean by that is before they go at doing more expansions, more maps, more content in the game, which is really good. I think content is really important for keeping a player base and bringing a new player base and making the game feel fresh. Performance is going to push all of that away. It's going to push all of that aside if the game looks beautiful and or the new Streets expansion is amazing. There's so much loot, everybody can play, but nobody can actually run it. Or it plays at 10 frames, or it plays at 30 frames, I think performance before features is a very important thing that Battlestate Games needs to be addressed in their next patch. Work on it, look at some tweaks over this expansion that they just put in, and address some of that. It's a combination of, the RAM memory leakage, just the performance and optimization within the actual game itself. People obviously, personal system rigs. People obviously, this is a very intensive game on your CPU, much more than your GPU. So optimizing it with more CPUs is really important, but I also understand it's very hard to do that with such a game. But I do think that they need to take, a lot of steps within their own doing to fix a lot of the performance. Also, let me know down below what kind of performance you're getting and what your rig is. I want to know, and I want to do some comparisons and maybe do a video on it about what people are getting performance wise from their rigs in comparison to the performance in game. This is one that's been hashed out a lot. Found it in raid mechanic needs tweaking. I don't necessarily think it can necessarily needs to go away entirely, but I do think it needs a rework, because the way the game used to be before was a lot more focused on PvP. You could buy whatever you want, blast through some raids, get it done, and be done with it, right? So they kind of took away from that. They've wanted Tarkov, and I know they want Tarkov to be a much more PvE game, as it's very clear. If you play the game these days, you probably noticed that it's much more focused on rewarding you for PvE and not PvP gameplay than it does before that. But I think the found and raid mechanic is really affecting, more importantly, casual gamers. Casual gamers make up a very big portion of whatever game you play. There's a lot of people that can't play the game for multiple hours a day like we have the opportunity to. I have the opportunity to play it multiple hours each day, grind and record content on it. But a lot of people play the game casually, for example. Turns out that they don't get the opportunity to address a lot of these quests because of the found and raid mechanic. Maybe they can only play for an hour or two a night, and they spend an hour or two a night looking for that that item, and they end up dying to a cheater, and then that found and raid item becomes just void and null, and you can't even use it. So found and raid for questing, I think, might need addressing, because quest items don't necessarily, in my opinion, shouldn't be found and raid, because it'll let people maybe push through the quests a little bit quicker and a lot more efficiently. Maybe make it so it has to be an item. I'm not sure if they can do this, but this is just me brainstorming on top of my head here. Make it so you can't turn in items purchased off the flea market, but you can purchase items that you find in raid, and even if you die, you can still turn those items in if you put them in your secure container. That's what I think will help a lot of the casual player base, and I don't think it'll affect too much of the game, but that's my opinion on it. So, let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know any thoughts you guys think that the found and raid mechanic could get addressed and maybe fixed down below. But that's how I feel. That's some of my issues with it. I think it affects the casual player base a lot, and I think it really takes away from the PvP, which I already know they don't want to really chase after that. That's what Arena's for, but that's for another video. So that's how I feel about found and raid mechanics. Next thing is nerfing mechanics because of the 1%. What do I mean by that? They are, I think, basing a lot of their player base off of the top 1% of content creators and professional players of this game. What does that mean is they are nerfing, for example, boss spawns, they nerf loot spawns, they nerf or they buff mechanics of bosses to make them a lot harder to kill. And same thing as I was talking about before, a lot of the players who don't get the opportunity to play it 8 to 12 hours a day are not going to be able to master some of these mechanics. And if you're making things harder to farm, harder to kill, and harder to loot, you're going to make it very, very difficult for the casual player to enjoy the game. And yeah, maybe the casual player isn't supposed to enjoy the game, but do you want them even playing the game? Because it might be pushing them away if you just keep pushing and not, I would say, nerfing and making things harder than they were in the past. So I really think that's the mechanics cannot be based off of the 1%. I think they need to look at, obviously you can't just look at spreadsheets as a direct, numbers as a direct correlation to what the game is doing, as we've seen with games like Diablo 4, that they've made changes just based off, it looks like spreadsheets, but neither here nor there. I think that they need to get really good in touch with their community and start putting out maybe, I don't know, reading forums and Reddit posts and stuff like that, getting way better community interaction, which is my next topic I want to talk about. So we're going to swing into that, is being much more in and connected with your community and what they're saying about your game. I get it. Battlestate Games, Escape from Tarkov, it's their baby. They want to make it however they want it. And if you probably made a game, you probably want it to be the way you want it. You don't want to make it for other people to change it and change your vision and your dream of the game. I get that. I totally understand that, and I don't want to take that away from them because they put a lot of hard work into this game, and I love and enjoy this game very, very much. But at the same time, your community's feedback is important to making a product even better. You can try your best to meet in the middle. I don't think everything needs to be one-sided, but meeting in the middle will boost your community interaction and their overlook and outlook of the game. I know that a lot of people feel like their voices are just not heard and not impacted at all when it comes down to Escape from Tarkov and changes and stuff like that that they see that need to be made. I think community interaction needs to be a really important focus from Battlestate Games and from the community, just understanding that they can try and meet in the middle. Maybe not completely changing an overall mechanic, but maybe seeing how it can be tweaked to better overall implement gameplay styles and just the way the game feels. That's how I think about it. Community interaction is really important to any game, as we see in this day and age, that if a game developer doesn't have a community interaction and just doesn't get feedback from their community, they push a game out that is just out of touch and cold. And for example, Call of Duty or something like that seems to be out of touch a lot of the time with their community. But some of these AAA titles don't really care as much about their community, but I think a lot of them can take some notes, because community interaction will push and I would say just bolster the player base of a game and make it a much more enjoyable experience, because a lot of people have really good feedback, and I think it can be shared and developers can definitely benefit from that. Last thing I want to talk about is, we all know in this next patch there's a Recoil Rework coming, and I know that the video that you're seeing here on screen right now isn't with any attachments, and it's not holding down or dragging down on the mouse. It is just left clicking and pulling up. I think Recoil is in a very strange state. I wouldn't necessarily say it's horrible, but I also wouldn't say it's good, and I wouldn't say it's average. It's just in a weird state, very unpredictable. I know they're going for a very realistic and hardcore approach to a game, and at the same time, a lot of people who are maybe knowledgeable in weapons and firearms and maybe seen videos on firearms have noticed that a lot of these guns don't have as much recoil as they do in game. And yeah, you can't necessarily make laser beams in game because everybody will getting one tapped and it's not enjoyable at all. But that also, goes hand in hand with the way the game plays. Like the desync and server issues and stuff like that, I think can be addressed much more importantly. But recoil needs to be touched up to a point where you are not fighting with FOV to reduce camera recoil or camera shake, where you're not just tweaking settings to just try and nerf your vertical recoil or your camera shake, because vertical recoil is one thing, but when you're having camera virtual shake to your gun, it's just not a mechanic that needs to be in the game. I know that Recoil Rework is coming, and I know that they're making changes to it, and I'm holding my breath. I wish I had access to the ETS, because like that we could try it out and I could give my feedback on it. But I think recoil needs to be really important for the overall health of the game and firefights. I'm not even talking about PvP, I'm talking about PvE as well. I mean, I'm sick and tired of dying to one-tap scavs. Those need to get fixed, or the scavs that shoot you 3 times with 1 bullet. Crazy, they're really good at the game. But I think recoil is really important to making guns feel a lot more lively and a lot more realistic. That first shot doesn't need to necessarily always shoot through the moon. I mean, if you're shooting a big round like some 338, you can probably justify shooting the gun straight to the moon. But I think that if you're shooting a basic ammo like 5.56, I think there needs to be understanding that that gun isn't necessarily going to be shooting all over the place. It's very, very good to control and very solid. But at the same time, I also get the feeling that they don't want to make a laser beam gun. So you got to meet somewhere in the middle on that. But recoil is really important, and that's how I feel about it. It affects my my overall outlook of the game and my personal preference when I play the game. So that about covers it all, guys. Let me know. I want to get feedback. That's how I feel about the game. Maybe my takes are wrong. Maybe my opinions are wrong. They are my opinions. That's what they are, opinions. So let me know what you guys think down below. I want to know what everybody feels about the game right now, how they feel playing this wipe, and how this wipe is going for them, and if some of these changes that I've outlined here, if they agree with them, they disagree, what you want to make. Let me know. If you like the video, drop a like. If you don't like it and you don't enjoy it, drop a dislike. Obviously, it gets me good feedback. But if you did enjoy it, I hope you do subscribe and watch some more Escape from Tarkov content of mine. And if you want to catch me live, I'm streaming over on kick.com/oneshotrich. But thank you again, guys, for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Hopefully you enjoy your raids. Have a good day, guys. Peace.